Okay, so it seems like recently there's been a little bit of an update on the whole Bao the Whale situation. Now, if you guys don't know, obviously, a lot of people have been going after Bao over the fact that she obviously calls herself a VTuber, right? And again, it has been a pretty interesting argument to look at as we've looked at both sides of people kind of discussing this, but there's been one big major change which you guys probably have noticed is the fact that she's actually changed her bio, right? One of the big factors that people were pointing towards in this whole debate was the fact that in her bio it still said VTuber, and a lot of people were pointing out that, you know, she posts pretty much only IRL content. There's a couple of clips that were VTuber, of course, but mainly the content has been IRL. I'd say about like an 80-20 split, right? But yeah, people were then kind of calling into question, well, what really makes you a VTuber if you are obviously constantly, you know, uploading IRL content, and at what point does it make you not a VTuber, right? And obviously I talked about the fact that, you know, I used to have a VTuber model like years ago. Does that still make me a VTuber or not? Because now I, you know, don't use it, which again was quite funny. But yeah, you can see here the actual, bio here says the difference between Chad and Chud is you. Which is obviously the difference, which is different side to her old bio, which a lot of people have been pointing out. For example, this person says she removed VTuber from her bio, ha ha ha, because you could see this was the original bio saying AKA I want to be bread girl, VTuber, VA, V singer, and then she had her tagged for her you know, kind of art and things like that. Now it is interesting that she's removed like the art tags and things like that. I guess that's because it is a VTuber orientated thing, but of course, yeah, I mean, it kind of confirms the route I guess she's taking in content creation ever since her face reveal, because you know, lots of people were wondering, you know, well, is this going to continue? Is the kind of face posting, or whatever you want to call it, IRL posting, is that going to continue on, or is she going to go back to like VTubing and then just like be a VTuber still, whatever? But it seems like now that she's changed her bio, she might be locked into the whole IRL content thing, which honestly I don't think is a bad thing, right? I think that, you know, obviously a lot of people were just wondering whether she was still like considering herself a VTuber or not, and at the end of the day it seems like she's not. So, you know, it you know, I think that's a good thing for her, right? I think honestly, you know, she's kind of clarified that maybe VTubing isn't going to be the main kind of content here through this bio thing, which again, I think that's fine, right? If she wants to do that and she wants to just be a content creator now, that's totally fine, right? That's, you know, honestly good for her, and hopefully she could do well at that. But of course, yeah, it seems like a lot of people have been, you know, making fun of it though, because it comes right after people have made edits like this, obviously talking about the fact that she has VTuber in her bio. And obviously some people saying, I don't know why people care so much, lol, her content at the end of the day, so her content at the end of the day, saying she's not a VTuber now though, only 95% of your content becomes IRL streams. What's the point of continuing to ride off the community that VTubing provides? It's her content, yeah, but then she can keep the fan base there for her, and not the fan base who likes VTubing. There's a ton of her fans who are upset about it, and tons of longtime VTuber fans that are upset about it. You're a VTuber as well, and one I can respect, but surely you have to understand why people love the escapism of VTubers as opposed to IRL streamers. Saying you can put this on your VTuber resume now, which is quite funny. Saying you actually believe that well, I don't know what that means, but saying like you has any influence upon her, you're a sadder case of a retard than I thought. That you literally be jumping leaps and bounds for a girl who doesn't even know you exist. Then thank you for putting her in her place. Now get rid of Sholily, Bao, and Cinder next. Well, I mean, they did do that. What? Okay, that's fine. I think the biggest issue with VTubers is that you can't precisely say what a VTuber is. If a VTuber decides not to be faceless anymore and go IRL, is she not allowed to be? Is she not allowed to because she's a VTuber? There are all these rules and BS that nobody understands. And I think honestly, it's one of those things, as I said in the last video, it's kind of like a ratios thing. I think that if your content is like 95% IRL content and 5% like VTuber content, I don't think that you really count as a VTuber. But obviously if it's like more like a 50-50, maybe even more, you know, 60-40, more so VTuber than IRL, I don't think you could still be considered a VTuber, right? I don't think you automatically get considered not a VTuber if you start uploading IRL content. I think that you could probably do both, right? Obviously, there's many VTubers that are considered still a VTuber and do IRL content. For example, like Kason, right? She is still considered a VTuber because she does a mix of both, right? But of course, a lot of people have been, wondering, well, what's the direction of the content of Bao? Because as I said, the content has mainly been IRL posts ever since that face reveal. So people are wondering, well, is she going to still be a VTuber, or is this face kind of content going to be the new thing for her? And honestly, yeah, I think with the bio change, it might kind of spell a little bit of a change in her content, and obviously VTubing, maybe not VTubing as much in the future, right? It doesn't mean necessarily also that she's not going to be VTubing ever again, by the way. I'm sure that she probably will do, but I'm guessing the bio change was due to the backlash that she got from it, which has been pretty interesting, right? He's saying, with how much Bao has been posting IRL stuff with multiple face reveals without using the avatar, she has removed her VTuber label from her profile. Now it only exists on her tag. After all the Cinder drama, the Skeb drama, and the Misandry drama, this might be a move to rebrand herself, as evidently the sim audience has completely fallen for her IRL appearance. Now, again, obviously, yeah, this person is kind of talking about the fact that Bao has been involved in a lot of dramas, specifically in the VTuber community. And again, potentially, they're saying like she's doing this to essentially escape the audience that has been kind of going after her and stuff. Now, that could be true, right? That could be true. Again, I don't want to like assume what Bao is doing, but to be honest, I wouldn't really blame her, for kind of escaping and going to a different community, because of course it seems like a lot of the VTubing community, I say the VTubing community, a lot of people who like VTubers and things like that, probably aren't too happy with her over the previous dramas and things like that. So maybe pivoting to IRL content could get her a new audience that maybe less so kind of responded to that drama and things like that. So again, I don't think it's necessarily like a terrible move for her. Honestly, it's a smart move if that's what the plan was. But also as well, I could understand that maybe she just wants to do it anyways, right? It might not even just be that. It might just be like one of those things where it was also like a bonus too. Saying, I have a thing for Asian girls, and I gotta say, Bao is not that attractive. Again, I don't really care about like is she attractive? Is she not attractive? Doesn't really matter to me. We're talking about the VTuber side of things, right? Saying, I'm not sorry. The more I heard Bao and Iron Mouse open their mouths, the less I can tolerate them. Again, I don't have any problem with Iron Mouse. Again, they say, yes, it's personal preference. So if you like them, go for it. What's your choice? And I just don't understand how the simp men can still support her after clearly the misandrous statements hating on men. So yeah, obviously a lot of people angry over that as well. Like all the previous drama and things like that. And of course, some people as well saying it's so weird how haters obsessively are keeping tabs on someone they dislike. What do you mean she noticed you? What do you mean you noticed she took the word VTuber out of her profile? Which again, I don't think like that's necessarily the craziest thing to notice. I think she has changed her bio quite drastically. And obviously the drama recently has been over her bio, so of course people are going to be keeping an eye on it, keeping tabs on it, as you said, to see if she does change it after this drama. So I don't think it's like the weirdest thing on earth, because it's not like people have been talking about her bio. Her bio has been the center of the conversation. So I think that's why people have been keeping an eye on it. It's not like people have just been watching her bio without like no reason at all. So yeah, people saying also, if a VTuber starts posting more IRL stuff and wants to branch out, and that's not the content you want to see, just unfollow. And I think that's fair enough, right? I think that if you don't want to see the content and you don't want to watch her as not a VTuber anymore, that's also totally fine. You can go and unfollow things like that. But I also think as well, people are just genuinely talking about like VTubing in general and whether it counts as a VTuber if you are uploading more IRL content, which I think is just the kind of thing that people are more concerned about, rather than whether the content was going to be good or something that they want to watch. Saying, but no, instead I see blank shaming, people literally rating her looks and saying she's ugly, really just straight up no lifing, which again, yeah, throughout all of these videos we've made on this situation, we haven't really dived into like her looks as a whole. Obviously that's been a really big topic as well, alongside of this, people like rating her or saying that she looks ugly or saying that she looks great, or you know, literally any side of whatever you would call it. So again, you know, I just don't think that's very, I don't do that to anybody, right? I don't think there's any point in, you know, making fun of someone's appearance or really bringing that in, because it doesn't really have any relevance to the conversation, right? It's just like, okay, you know, you don't think she looks good. Some people think she looks good, and that's fine, right? You know, people have different opinions, people have different tastes, people have different, what do you call it? Just everything, right? It's just one of those things that people won't agree on, and it doesn't really add anything to this entire situation. I feel like, you know, the bio and talking about what a VTuber really means has more substance as a conversation than just like, I think that she's a 3 or I think that she's an 8. Like, it's just like, okay, like, who cares? Like, I don't care that she's an 8 or a 3. Like, it really doesn't matter, doesn't affect me. But I do think, obviously, you know, the whole changing the bio thing is interesting because, as I said, it could potentially lead to a shift in content and a shift in what we see in Bao's channel, which again, if she wants to go fully in and do that, I think that's fine, right? She's changed it now, so it seems like she is potentially going more into that kind of content. So we'll have to see how that goes for her, right? But yeah, that's essentially all there is for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kazo, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. So, see ya.